Hello. Welcome to the In Love with Business podcast. This miniseries is titled Chief Sustainability Heroes and is hosted by Professor Paolo Melina and Melina Corvalia-Shore from University College London, School of Management. Throughout this series, we will talk to sustainability leaders from different organizations and sectors to learn about their sustainability journeys. We will ask them about their career paths, the challenges they encountered in implementing complex strategies of sustainable transformation, and what inspired them along the way. We will also ask what advice they would offer to aspiring chief sustainability officers. Enjoy the episode.
David Costa is the Chief Sustainability Business Officer at NTT Data. NTT Data is a Japanese multinational IT and consulting firm with headquarters based in Tokyo. The company is a big company. It employs more than 190,000 people, and they operate in more than 50 countries worldwide. David stepped into the role of Chief Sustainability Business Officer at NTT Data in October 23. Congratulations, David.
Many thanks, Paolo.
And previously, he was leading sustainability and business development for NTT Data in Europe and LATAM. Welcome, David, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Good morning, Paolo.
Thank
Great to see you again.
So, David, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and your path of how you became a Chief Sustainability Officer?
Okay, thank you, Paolo. So basically, I took the role after several, I've been in this company for 27 years, doing different roles. Okay, but it's true that a few years ago, I had a conversation with my former CEO, and I was really telling him that either in the company or outside, something I wanted to do is to get involved in these sustainability topics. In fact, I've been CEO of operations in Spain and part of Europe and CEO in the UK. I've been leading integration projects. I've been leading twice business development for our former company called Everest, and then after that for NTT Data Inc. And I think I have a huge background to leverage my experience in a complex, role that is this of Chief Sustainability Business Officer. In fact, a few years ago, I became, a non-executive member of a board of directors in a company called Manch in the UK, which is as a service and advisory solution provided around ESG and sustainability data for investors, asset managers, corporates, and donor advised funds. And it's something that I always had in my inside. No, in fact, I became consultant by accident. And I always believe, a consultant is someone who provides service to others. And I strongly believe that on these sustainability topics, we will discuss later, but there is so many things to be done that we need people that is really brave to engage with those topics.
Yeah. And I guess we definitely share that vision. And this is why this podcast is called the Chief Sustainability Heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
So what attracted you, David, in this role? Because, I guess 27 years in the traditional business, that's a lot of experience. So why sustainability?
Because I always like challenging, topics. This is something my wife always says. She says, "Why you always, you are like a fighter. You are solving complex problems." And I think this problem, as per today, and probably better than me, we are not in the trend to achieve the targets that all the companies are setting. Those 2030, 2035, 2040 challenges that we have seems like quite impossible, no? So I think, and I don't believe that this is gonna be solved with incremental change. Okay, to achieve our objective, I think it's gonna be a big transformation. So one of the things I did to take the role, and this is something that my colleagues will remember, when I was offered the role, I said, look, there are three conditions. Okay, one is whoever takes the role needs to report to the CEO of the company for things that will come back later. The second one, we need to have a very good team. Okay, top talent team. Okay, not people who doesn't have other missions. And in this topic, I'm so lucky, because there is a lot of people who has been engaging for the last few years when the topic was not fashion, Okay, so they know a lot. They know much more than what I know. And the following one was, we need empowerment and investment capacity. And when I got the answer, I now report to the CEO. The team I have is outstanding. And then the investment, we are in the process to decide where we're going to invest. I will come back later to this one. But let me tell you something. I also took the role because our group has a strong DNA on sustainability. Okay, Japan, since the Edo period, in the 17th century, with the shampoo Yoshi, they had this philosophy of circular economy that was called the three good. Whatever was good for the seller was good for the buyer and good for the society, something they were engaging. So the circular economy started there. No, and I'm sure if you engage with our company, you will see that this is in our DNA. No, in the last 30 slides of the corporate presentation to analysts, 5 of them talk about sustainability in a genuine way, not in an artificial way, even if we still have a lot of work to be done. Yeah.
That's interesting. David, you used the word earlier, brave, which I think is a perfect description of what a CSO does. But could you describe for us, elaborate a little bit more about the role and how you define the role of Chief Sustainability Officer?
Okay, I'm going to go, even ChatGPT could say that. No, for me, it's defining and implementing strategies to ensure sustainability, but to make sure they are embedded into the process and the decision making for all the CXOs. So what I like to say, this is not my mission. Okay, it's the corporate company mission. And most of the conversation I have had since last June, July with the CXOs is to try to agree with them what is their responsibility. And it's interesting because if you look at the details of what a chief financial officer has to do, the chief HR officer, the chief marketing officer, the CEO have to do, at the end, there is nothing left to me. So if I do a good job and the team do a good job, in the future, the company should be sustainable by itself. Okay, so that was what made me, accept the role as well. And what I do as well is now I'm engaging with analysts and with the whole organization. No? And I like to say that I have the best job in the company. But I tell you, it's genuinely, why? Because I see that we are in the best position to do that. No, and we have, you mentioned we are 195,000 people, but we also work with amazing clients, amazing partners. And I can tell you that all of them are genuinely now looking at this, something that they have to do. No, but probably what we are working now on is on the consistency. It's not the same to be a PR sustainability company than to be a sustainable company. Okay. And this is something that is in the conversation we have, and I'm sure, Paolo, the conversation you are having with, this is a topic that is arising, no?
This is the decade for change.
Exactly. And the relevant thing as well, because I'm not gonna, there is always a Tarantino version and a Bambi version. Okay? People like the Bambi's version. I'm going to talk about the Tarantino one. No, the team, when we started the process, were feeling that the company was not consistent in some topics. As I say, we have a strong DNA, but we have a lot of things to improve. And what we are now seeing is that there is a huge engagement from the top of the company. I was in Japan last week, and we met with all the different levels, and you can see they are engaging. But I always come to a question, no? Is if you have to choose between growth and operating income, profit, and a bit less of operating income and a bit less of growth and being sustainable, what do you choose? Because the reality is that if you become genuinely sustainable, you will attract more people. The employees will be more happy. You will make an impact in the clients, and the clients, because sustainability is about the whole value chain, will engage with you. Okay? But it's in this order. You become genuinely sustainable, and then the rest will come. It's not that you do that because you are seeking for the others. No? And this is making me have so many interesting conversations for the last few months. That's why I like to say it's the best job in the company right now. It's not easy, but it's an amazing job.
Not easy, but the best. That's a great description. And And you mentioned earlier how you love challenges or you don't shy away from a challenge. So can you touch on or explain to us some of the most significant challenges facing companies today and how you address those challenges as a CSO?
So the challenges the company have strongly depend on which industry they are and which sector they operate. Okay, because it's not the same the dynamics you have in the energy sector than the one you have in the banking sector or in the manufacturing, auto, logistics, etc. No, or the transportation. So what we've been able to do for the last few years is to understand what sustainability means for every sector. Okay, but even for the public sector, we have a project today that after the Paris agreements, we have developed a solution for United Nations where the countries are informing the commitments and the progress they are doing. We are going to present that in COP28. But we are also working with a financial entity in Italy, Paolo, that we are helping them to make sure they develop software based on the standards of the Green Software Foundation. Okay, so for every sector is very different. Okay, but it's true that the main issue we are having, I think, as a society, we are in a culture of growth. Okay, and versus having a sustainable driven culture. Let me give an example. I'm not going to mention one of the hyperscalers or big companies.
Yeah.
I was invited to the Sustainability Summit.
Yeah.
Okay, and one of the questions I made is your CEO ready to produce, instead of these devices every year, to do it once every 3 years? Are you ready to extend the longevity of your devices? Are you ready to make them more repairable or recyclable by design? So this is the type of conversation. Are you ready, car manufacturers, to extend the life of your cars? Okay, so if we don't do this type of changes, we won't achieve our objectives. I will come back later to this topic about how we can achieve our objectives. So for me, one of the main complexities and challenge we have is the lack of consistency, because what we say and what we do. Okay.
And kind of building on this reflection that you just shared with us, David, I always tell my students that sustainability is industry specific and country specific. So I definitely share what you just said. Of course, when you take this principle and you apply it in a global organization like NTT, working across many sectors, it means that you need to find a balance in these sustainability approaches. You need to try to, I guess, localize these strategies and efforts. So there are going to be values and principles that apply for NTT at the global level. But then when you look at sustainability and your operations in LATAM, most likely are going to call for a different approach from what is happening in Japan, for example, or Southeast Asia. So how do you deal with that challenge as a CSO?
So first of all, what we've done is to understand what means working in every country. Okay. For example, we have 45,000 people in India. Okay, and in India, just because they live there, you generate 750 grams of emissions per kilowatt hour. Okay. If you live in Sweden, it's 23. Okay. Then, for example, so we analyze where we should be developing, but you are not going to go from India. Okay, so we are understanding
you need to make it work there. Yeah,
we need to make it work there. Or we know we are between the third and the fifth data center operator in the world. Okay, so now with generative AI, we plan to multiply by 5 the capacity of our data center. So this will have an impact as well. So what we are in the process to do right now is to do a proper calculation of our emissions, which is not easy.
Of course.
Okay? We have discussed this with many of our competitors and partners. And you can see that their calculation jump from 1 year to another, depending on the rules you apply to calculate that. So for that reason, we are developing a solution also in Japan called Sea Turtle that allows companies to measure this. But I will come back later about the challenge. So regarding those challenges, now we have clarity on scope 1 and 2. We feel we can achieve our objectives. On scope 3, we are doing different things. Okay, one of them is we are developing green data centers. We can show you one in Germany that all the politicians go there to take a picture with because it's a green data center. But then we have data centers in South Africa. And so that in South Africa, you don't have electricity the whole day, so you need generators. Okay, so even if you need, so we are doing it to make sure which, fuel do you need to feed that, because you will have this data center. Okay. Yeah. So what we are doing is to advantage of being such a big group, so we are also analyzing which project we should be investing on to compensate, because there are things you cannot avoid. It's like depending which activity you do as a company, you cannot avoid it. If you are in airlines, you fly airplanes. Yeah. Okay. But then you need to make sure you have projects to compensate that. Okay. So what are we doing, for example? We have a technology called ION that probably you know that it is low energy consumption, that once it's applied, it helps us reduce a lot of our emission. But as a company, we are very lucky because financially being very strong, we invest in the group, in NTT. NTT is a $100 billion group, okay? We invest $3.5 billion in R&D. But if you last week I was in Japan, and let me share two technologies with you. One was artificial photosynthesis.
Wow.
Okay, an artificial photosynthesis simulates what a tree does. Okay, and a square meter of these materials generate the same impact than a tree of 20 meters tall. We are working now as well on algae that capture CO2, and they grow faster, and they help to feed, fishes. So it helps also with the human value chain. Okay, but what we need to do now is those are investments we are doing that will have an impact in X time. But for me, is what I said before, incremental is not going to make a big change. We need to transform, and to transform, we need to find this type of solution. One of the questions I was doing to the engineers and the investigator was, okay, how many algae should I plant or grow to compensate the whole 187 billion that we generate every year and we don't? And we need to calculate that. The same, imagine that by using those materials in the buildings, you compensate. So that was this type of the complexity.
And I think, exactly, this example shows the complexity of sustainability projects. You touched on algae, so kind of nature and materials. You spoke about carbon offsetting, decarbonization, and this is kind of just one area of sustainability and ESG. So my question to you is, what are, in your opinion, the critical skills of a CSO? Because probably you can't know everything. So there are probably skills that are critical. And how do you stay up to date with the latest sustainability trends and thinking? Because, I struggle myself to kind of keep up with everything that is coming. So what's your view on this?
So first of all, you've mentioned something very important. This is so wide that you cannot do and know everything. So you, as a company, in your strategy, you need to simplify a lot and choose, which areas you will focus on to improve your corporate sustainability, and in our case, also to help clients. Okay, so this is one topic. Okay, so then understand that because you don't know everything, you need a network of expert people. Okay, but this group of people has to be determined. Okay, they need to be also transparent, Okay, they need to say what they see. Okay, not against that. Then they need to be consistent. Okay, we say we're going to do something, do it. We need to persevere. You need to have emotional intelligence to convince people as well. They need to work as a team, etc. So, but to your question, how do you learn? Okay, from that, that's why I said I have the best job ever. No, because every day I go to bed and I have learned many things. So, what do you do to do that? You engage with your partners. Okay, you engage with your clients. You engage with analysts. So the strategic plan we have defined, we have shared it with analysts. But we have shared it as well. We are creating an international advisory board of people that can help us challenge, because we don't know everything. People have more experience than us. This will also help us, no? But what I think helps us more is that every time you engage with a client, we both are in the same situation. We are both learning. We know how difficult it is to achieve the objectives, but then we manage to work as one. No, we have one of our partners, for example, Cisco. We buy a lot from them. 38% of all the hardware we use is from them. So we are now working with them how to improve our value chain, how to extend life of our devices, how to recycle them, how to make sure. So to learn is not only what you read, it's what you discuss with people who has been trying that longer than you. Okay, so I remember the conversation we had. Is you've been in the arena, you have written books, and I'm sure every day there is someone that surprises you.
Yeah, okay? Absolutely.
So basically is, we learn. The other day, for example, I had a meeting with
you just did, by the way, with the artificial photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you. I'll send you the details.
Very impressive. No, exactly.
Yeah. It is, and when you see it, then there are questions, because the result of this is small, bottles which contain the CO2, and then what do you do with it?
Yeah.
As well, no. So, and then there are people analyzing how we could use it, because carbon is everywhere so we can apply that, no? So, but for example, last week I was with our leaders in the data centers space, okay, and we have committed that we will achieve 100% renewable energy by 2030. It was a masterclass. I went home. I said to my wife, I said, "Look, today was like every time. I didn't know we could do that, and so each curiosity is very important." But then simplify, because this is so complicated. For example, one of the things we are doing as a company, we have launched the Sustainability Month, okay? Because we have set 3 goals that we have as a company. And those 3 goals have 3 KPIs. And this is something everybody has to know. And everybody, in every activity they do, they need to check against those 3 goals. Okay? What are those 3 goals? The first one is all the employees to be engaging today with sustainability. It can be in a personal way or in a professional way. In the group, we have 330,000 people. The second one is our net zero objectives. They are communicated to stakeholders. We have to accomplish them. So everybody has to know in the activity they do if this goes support the strategy that we have. And then we are in the process to make sure that our services and products and solutions are 100% sustainable by design. We don't have a date here. I don't want to commit a date because this is what we call sustainable IT. This is what we do. Yeah. We are still far away. But now we are analyzing in the data centers, in the networks, in the software we develop, in the activities that we do. So it's a complex picture, but it's because there is people who has been doing for so long in the company. The only thing you need to do is, what would you do? And they tell you, but now we need, and then on top of that, obviously, in the, what we call the people prosperity, we have human rights, diversity, equality, inclusion objectives. We need, digital society, So all the things that we do as a society. Then we have what we call planet positive. And here is zero waste, and a sustainable value chain as well. This is something we are working on. And then on the other topic is all related with business. Our sustainable services, because if we are sustainable, our clients will also be happy. So it's again, I learn a lot, but in every activity, every day.
It's great. So you never stop learning, right?
No.
So speaking of learning, and you mentioned there how important it is to engage employees for the company to reach your goals. So how do you go about engaging employees who might not have sustainability within their title, but obviously play an important role? So what's your approach?
The first approach was when I took the role, Paolo knows very well how complicated our group can be to understand. Okay. The good news is for the last few years, we are in the process to consolidate all the operations. So the first thing we did as a group, and I suggested is when you talk to clients and analysts, what they mention about us is we didn't have one mission and we didn't have one value proposition. So the first thing we did is to draw one mission that I could share with you is now it's technology for good to create a more affluent and harmonious society, realizing a sustainable future. This is the mission of the company. So that helps a lot, no? So, but to mobilize that, so this is something all the employees has to understand. And then there are three main drivers. One is to operationalize those KPIs into, the process level. Is what I said. All the CXOs need to understand what is the role they play there. Okay. So because then the CXOs will have their teams, they will cascade down. But again, the sustainability strategy now is only one. So my bosses are in Tokyo, and we have agreed the objectives together. What we do now is say, look, instead of talking all the time about 2030, 2035, 2040, what do we do this year? Okay. And we have set some specific goals. And then the following one is how do we do the employee experience? So for that, we are now creating what I call the Sustainability Impact Portal. This is one everybody should be able to access, and when they will jump into this, they will see the three main KPIs, the three main goals, and then the 9 KPIs. So everybody should access. When they access one, they will see that. And they need to decide what is their impact on what they do. And as I said, those 9 KPIs that, people positive, planet positive, and prosperity positive is something we want everybody to use. So, and everybody has to understand what is their impact in their operation. Obviously, it's not the same as CXO than are people who just joined. But it's very interesting. There are people who just joined who is approaching us with amazing ideas. No? For example, people who show an app, that say, look, this is your personal impact, David. 7 tons a year. Okay. And this is what you could do. Okay. So this Sustainability Portal, Impact Portal, will have this app that we need to develop. And then what we have discussed with a group of people, diverse, CXOs, top executives, people who just recently joined, people in the sustainability race, we are now deciding to simplify in which initiatives we are going to dedicate our time. Okay? Obviously, equality, inclusion, diversity is something each in every geography is done. But for example, if we talk about hunger, we are engaging with companies who are feeding people in schools. So there are 67 million children that do not eat enough. They have analyzed that instead of sending, school material or food from our rich countries, what we do is they have analyzed that people don't go to school because they are tired, they don't eat. So what they say is, look, we are going to feed you at school. Okay? So they bring people to the school, and then which food? The food that they grow in the community. Okay, nice. So they make this sustainable. It's not countries sending things, they create that. No? And they are feeding every month now 2.7 million people.
Wow.
Children.
It's amazing.
There are 67 million in the world that not eat enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the cost is $18.6 a year. It's not much. So one of the things we're saying, why don't we define an action there? Okay. Then we have others, in the data center, renewable energy, the software. So we're analyzing those 3-4 initiatives where we will invest most of our. And then, because it's simple, we believe that people will understand our strategy. Because one of the things we need to do is to make sure people understand. When I started the job, I didn't know. Right. And nobody, in general, in all the organizations, what they see is that every year we create a sustainability report that is amazing, because all the companies are doing amazing initiatives with charities, with their own activities, etc. No, but probably what we need is a bit more organized, actions that have a better impact. No?
Okay, that's great. And so it sounds like you have quite a few mechanisms in place to embed KPIs and to prioritize them throughout the company. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on how you measure those KPIs? You mentioned how they're broken down by year rather than these big sort of long-term goals. And then also what resources are needed to help you monitor and then get move towards those goals.
Okay, so this is the key. Okay, we are in the process to quantify. For example, to get started, all the companies, we need to make sure we have accurate data about our emissions.
Okay.
So it's not easy. I tell you, we are in the process to measure that. Okay, and I don't know, we should say it like this, but I'm going to say it. One day it's 11 million tons a year. Another day is 8 million tons a year of CO2. It depends how you do the calculation. So it's not a shortage of data.
Right.
These all calculations are done. No, I came back now to this solution we have called Sea Turtle. Okay, it helps calculate the emissions. But I was talking also to one hyperscaler. Depending on how, which quality of aluminium you have, the category, you have more or less emissions. Okay? So for us, it's the same. We are now calculating, coming to your point, geographically, we operating in NTT Data Inc in 50 countries. Okay? In those 50 countries, it's not the same India than Spain, than Brazil, than the States. And when you collect those data, we are still globally don't have the same way of calculating that. So we need to do some hypotheses. So we do a hypothesis. And fortunately, we have amazing people in the team. Our leader, Vicky, who is leading transformation and strategy, she has been Chief Sustainability Officer of companies like Rolls-Royce, E.ON, and Drax. So he understands well. But even when we sit down to do those calculations, we have interesting conversation about how to which number we give. At the end, we know it's going to be, there will be a variation depending on how you do that. And the same happened to the client. So we are now focusing a lot of effort in this get started. Okay. To understand in the different KPIs, where are we today?
Right.
Okay. And then what we are doing is, and this is one slide. I like my one slide. No, if you cannot draw it in one slide, it's difficult to explain. So then we have our full emissions, scope 1, 2, and 3, by categories. And then the actions we are going to do. And the commitment. So we have said in 2030, clean energy in our data centers. In 2035, our facilities. And in 2040, our value chain. So we are now calculating, depending on which action you do, the impact that will have. And you know what? We are not reaching 2030 or 2035 with the current activities. So we need to understand that we need to launch other actions. Okay, and those actions will require investment. But again, if I go to the CFO and I say, I need this to do that, I need to be able to explain that the data are accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
And this is something that in general, people are struggling to do.
Right.
Okay. And so you end up having a conversation with Apple that they generate 22.5 million tons a year. Okay. And they are able to reduce until a point, but then they do other projects to compensate. Okay. And then when you talk to them, you cross as well what you are doing. And you end up realizing that we all need each other. Okay. But again, to your point, yes, to calculate is not easy. We have amazing people who have been doing that for years.
Right.
But so we think we have a picture to start with, and then hypotheses to decrease that. Okay?
Yeah, and I think this is very important. In the book we published with Melina this year, Sustainable Transformation Strategy, we made the point that sustainable transformation has to be data-driven. It's not a qualitative business case. You need to have the data to make it a quantitative business case. I definitely share that vision, David. Something you said at the beginning of this podcast really got my attention. The three asks you made when they proposed you the job, and the first ask was, I wanted to report to the CEO. And as you know, there is a pretty big debate these days in terms of how sustainability should be organized in organizations. There are different views, and probably there isn't just one solution. I guess as a strategist, I do like the idea of CSOs reporting to CEOs. But can you elaborate why you made that task? Why do you think it is important to have a direct link and conversation with the CEO on sustainability?
Because if not, I think it's quite impossible. Okay, so in general, this is a theory. Is successful organizations or successful projects has three things in common. Okay, and there is books that talks about that. The leaders have energy. Okay, I'll come later to this point. Then the leaders genuinely care about their teams. Okay, and then they have a medium long-term plan. Okay, so if those three things happen, it's not so important who is the leader. Because the important thing is that you have people who have the determination and the energy to have a plan that is ambitious, that will require investment, that will require, a company with a DNA. So I've been reading before taking the role. I read a lot, okay, because I said, what is this person going to do? I know some things, but I'm not an expert. The other people have been in the topic for years, okay? So how can I help? And I realized that the best way to help is to help to draw a plan that makes sense with the people who knows, okay? But that will require the energy, the determination to go to a CEO and tell, look, if you don't do that, the company is not consistent. And then it could happen that in 1 year, they change the reporting line. It could happen, okay? But I feel like if you want to set clear objectives, if it comes from the top, people believe it's important, right?
And to close, David, this has been a very interesting conversation with sustainability becoming a profession. I'm sure that there are people possibly listening or watching this podcast that are, aspiring to become a CSO one day. So what is your advice to them?
My advice, look, as I said, and it's not artificial. No, I strongly believe that this profession will allow us to make an impact. Okay, it's for the medium long term. Okay, you learn a lot. You work with people, which are very, very unique, because most of them have been in that before it became fancy or sexy or whatever. So, but my advice would be, choose in which area you want to start. Okay, and this is something that we see now when we launch with the employees, when we talk to them. Some people are more interested in the personal part of personal impact. Other people want to develop, our services to become more sustainable. Other people want to engage with all related with planet, natural regeneration, net zero, zero waste. And other people are more in the, human rights, equality, diversity, etc. So my advice, as I said, for me, it's a dream job. And it's very interesting because I think it's a job that will have many opportunities in the future, but it's a job that if we do a good job, is not needed.
No.
Okay? So
well said.
So at some point,
yeah,
because if all the CXOs and the people do their job, we are not needed. Okay, so
job security is at stake.
Yeah, but as I said, I think
I'm
it's
kidding,
not something
I'm kidding.
Yeah. But I think need to be people who are brave, who are ready to try to change behaviors with a lot of self-confidence, people with energy, people who are genuinely generous. Okay, they do things, they do not expect anything in return. People who likes freedom. Okay, and this, if you put passion, then I think it happens. But yeah, is
fantastic.
Amazing.
David, it was really a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you very much, and congratulations for the great work you are doing at NTT Data.
Well, there's still a lot to do.
Yes, thank
you. Congratulations to the team. The team where we work as a team the team is amazing. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, David.
Awesome.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this discussion, we invite you to like and share this episode on your social media. Enjoy the rest of your day.